Welcome, Wargamers. Join your hosts, Alco and Monty, two Canadian wargaming enthusiasts, as we explore all aspects of tabletop wargaming. We roll dice, talk tactics, share hobby hacks, and explore new tabletop systems, all on the Trident Wargaming Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another Trident Wargaming episode. Today is kind of a community spotlight episode, and with me I have Dana. How's it going?
Not too bad, hi.
Hey, welcome to the show. So Dana is from one of the other cities here in Alberta, in Calgary, our southern brothers and sisters down there. So we're just checking out kind of the community there. We have a couple of stores that are really into the gaming community. They hold tournaments and all that kind of stuff. So I figured I'd reach out to Dana here because they're doing a bolt action tournament down there, which we're going to be coming down to play in. And there's actually a fair bit of amount of guys from Edmonton going down to Calgary to play. So I figured, hey, why not? Let's get Dana on the show and let's talk about the community and the tournament and how things go down there. So yeah, again, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about your community.
Thanks, Andy. Well, it is, I can say it's definitely a small community.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've noticed about Alberta is that gaming in general is definitely very kind of niche. So when people get together, they do get together to play the games they love. But when you look at it at the greater sense, it is a small community in our province and in our cities.
Right.
But we actually have a fair amount of interest, which is surprising. There's about 15 to 20 of us that get together semi-regularly to play.
Nice.
Anywhere from going back between one of the two stores or getting set up in the events that I'm trying to get rolling in here.
Yeah, and the stores down there, let's say pretty much Sentry box and the Ogre's Den, right?
That is right. The Ogre's Den Gaming Club is where we generally hang out. It's kind of our Thursday hangout spot. It's a beautiful store, beautiful owners. They have set this place up so that it is a gaming space first and a store after. So it is a true gaming club. Something like 30 odd tables, tons of sit down space. Like it is a great place. Yeah, and then the Sentry box is of course the Sentry box.
If you haven't heard of the Sentry box and you're in Alberta.
Yeah.
I am going down there for the first time though, so this will be good. I haven't been able to visit the store, but I've heard lots about it, so that'll be pretty.
You're
cool.
Going to be amazed. Beautiful.
Right on. I have been to the Ogre's Den. Played a tournament there, like we were talking, off air here. So a lot of space there. So if you are in the vicinity or you're, moving to the city and getting to kind of know where people are playing, like those are the places to go. And of course you guys play a whole bunch of different games there as well, and not just bolt action, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of AOS, 40K, the General Games Workshop stuff. Right. But there is a growing number of us who tend to drift away from the more mainstream games. We've got gamers who play Song of Ice and Fire very regularly. Mm-hmm. Marvel Crisis Protocol is kind of kicked off real hard down there. Everyone's into it. Nice. Bolt Action, Conflict 47. There's a small group of us that are a little more into the historical side of things and wargaming. So even small games like Silver Bayonet or Lion Rampant, you can probably find someone down there to play.
Okay.
So it is a great community with just how small it is to try and find someone to play something. Which is
Nice.
always good.
So the players are pretty dedicated, eh? Like that's what it's sound like. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. That's actually really good to hear. I know with us here, like mainly bolt action, but there's a few of us that do some of the other historical stuff. I know I kind of jumped into black powder a little bit as well with buddy Jason there. So, but it's good to see that stuff out there and good to see guys trying and playing these other games. And it's good to hear that it's happening down there as well. So, yeah, we don't get too much Conflict 47. We get a couple games here and there, but I think everybody is mainly straight up into bolt action. So, but that's good. What do you find, like, with your group that plays bolt action? What's like the most common army you think, or the favorite army you see all the time when players come out?
Definitely Brit.
Brits? Yeah.
Brit.
Yeah.
British are. Sorry, go ahead.
No, by all means, continue.
British are definitely the favorite down here. It's has probably a tendency to be that we're all Canadian and respect our history and stuff. But yeah, British are the go-to start for most people down here anyway. But we also have a lot of German players. The staple, someone's got to be the bad guy. And slowly people are kind of venturing out into other areas of the game. Italians being popular. Actually, I had one guy message me about the event going up who asked if he could play as Chinese nationals. So I was surprised by that.
Nice. We have a player down here too that plays the Chinese as well. Does quite well with them. But yeah, it sounds very similar to us over here as well. Again, like you said, Brits and Canadians, yeah, popular. We do have a lot of Americans, a lot of U.S. players, and of course Germans. But I play French every once in a while, so I get to mix that up a little bit. And I've got some Hungarians on the back burner as well, so that'll be fun to bust out. But no, it's good. That's good to hear. Guys are doing a lot of new projects and whatnot, or are they working on terrain? Like, what's the hobby front looking like for you guys there, and even for yourself?
Yeah. There's actually been talk about within our little group about a couple of guys getting a few tables set up.
Okay.
One of our rough players wants to do a kind of a winterized, a kind of Western Russian landscape. So not so much a city fight, but like a hamlet.
Okay. Yeah.
That's basically being fought over. And then the only Japanese player that I know of, good guy, wants to do a jungle table. But he's been wanting to do that for 2 years, so we'll see how far that goes. But there's quite a few hobby projects going on. We got one guy who's working on finishing his Americans, which was his starter army, but he got sidetracked by Italians.
We all get sidetracked.
Yeah. We got another guy who jumped in with British and got sidetracked by Italians because all the new plastics came out. Yeah, everyone's just kind of slowly going at it. It's ever since April when I had our last event, people kind of slowed down. Horse Heresy and a few other games came out in then, so
right, yeah,
the hobby distraction happened. But it's slowly coming back. especially with the announcement of Warlord getting into or getting a hold of the entirety of Conflict 47. There's a few players that actually got started in bolt action because of Conflict.
Nice.
Yeah, it's I personally like Conflict as a game with a few differences compared to bolt action, just because I'm all about that fantasy feel. I like that dark noir aspect of giant werewolves and
Kind of has
zombies.
a Wolfenstein feel to it.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's actually how a few of us, or most of us, got into bolt action. Our friend told us about Conflict and hooked us with that, and we bought into it, and then we started playing bolt action.
Yeah,
so it's kind of an off.
It's pretty nice that you can switch back and forth, even though some of the rules are slightly different just because of probably the addition. But it gives it a little extra flair, with the like you said, like the vampires, werewolves, and zombies, and the whole aspect of the, I guess, semi-walkers, dreadnought-looking things, right? So,
yeah.
Not too popular up here. A couple guys do play, but I have tried it. It is pretty neat. Model wise, I was kind of, not enough to really pull the trigger on getting some of this other stuff. But like you said, I'm sure with Warlord Games getting the whole line going there, I'm sure they'll start revamping a whole bunch of stuff. So, which is good for that community, and it's good to hear that some other guys are playing it as well. Never know, it might be an event at some point, right? So
exactly. There's a few of us that are looking forward to whenever the closely guarded secret of V3 drops, because we know that Warlord will just kind of roll Conflict into that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more feasible. So we're hoping, we're looking at some interesting projects in the near future.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised next year that something comes out at least.
Yeah. Just a rule book. That's all we need for now. Just a rule book.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the hobby front, personally, I am I'm a busy little boy. I made a ton of terrain for the last event for the full action tables at the Alberta Classic back in April.
Yep.
And that kind of hobbied me out of terrain for a little while. So many trees, so many hedges and fences and stuff that I just kind of like took my time and put most of my other projects in the back burner. But I got I personally am working on my Canadians right now. Actually, my Indian Canadians. I have the 8th Army British box set, and then the amalgamated with the British and Canadian starter set that I got. So I have a lot of semi-converted, steamy British Indians for kind of designed up for Sicily and Italy. The Mediterranean campaign is very popular down here. So I'm working on that. I'm working on my commanders, my Fiat team, and my last 2 tanks.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, I know lately a lot of guys have been kind of shifting over to Western Desert and Italy and whatnot. As of late, a whole bunch of guys are kind of picking up new armies and units and whatnot. And me and Jason have talked, and he decided to go with kind of the same kind of thing in the Western Desert. I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to play, allies, I'll bring out the Germans again, kind of thing, right? Do them up when I get a chance, that is. But it's interesting to see the shift a lot of times with the community, because when I first got into it, there was a lot of Eastern Front kind of German Soviet battles always happening. themes of tables and stuff like that kind of went that route. And even my first army, I picked the Soviets, and that was that whole thing, Stalingrad, and I was really pushing Stalingrad a while back with the little campaign I did. And now it's kind of shifting again. So it's cool to see, and players are still super intrigued into the game, right? And I'm sure it's probably the same thing in your community too. Is these guys just, they love the history, they love the units, and they do their research on units and stuff, and they kind of build their armies from that. Like, do you find that in your community as well?
I can definitely say that I've done a lot of research, reading up on the Italian campaign, to put my units together, just to get that background information, just to find that flavor and that feeling as to what actually happened there, so that you can attempt to bring it out on the paint table. And I've noticed it with a couple of others. Our two Russian players have done their research into the units they put on the table. One of the guys is really excited about getting his bomb dogs out.
Oh yeah, the anti-tank teams, yeah.
And he did his research on bomb dogs, and he wasn't so excited afterwards. But he said, "Nope, I've done it. This is what's going on." He's a bit of a dog lover, but everyone has put the thought into it in our community, which is really good. It's something that I'm happy to see whenever I see people pop up. There's a guy a couple months ago, or back in the summer, who was expressing interest in getting in, and he really wanted to do Fallschirmjäger army, to represent his mother's grandfather, who fought for Germany. Apparently, he left Canada, fought for Germany during the war, and as a lot of expats did, Germany put up a call for expats to come out, and people did. People left all over the world to go fight. So he's not. He was very specific, because obviously it's the times that we live in. He was very specific to say that he's not trying to honor what his grandfather or great grandfather did. He's saying, this is what happened. This is why I want to do it.
Yeah.
It's part of my family's history and stuff. I was like, no, we will all understand. No one is going to.
Yeah, that's fair, right? Like that's the one thing I've noticed too with historical gamers is they really do pay attention to a lot of detail when it comes to their miniatures, and it comes to their forces, and I'm not saying they're like rivet counters and stuff like that, but what I'm saying is they're not afraid to put the extra detail into, okay, maybe that German tank has the flag on it, right? That everybody, gasps at, kind of thing. But it's a historical game, and they're trying to make it kind of as accurate as possible especially if they're, really, really into painting and really good at painting and the detail. So when you see it on the board, or you see it in pictures, it's like, oh wow, like it kind of brings it to life on the tabletop. But we all still know that it's a game, right? So, there's nothing there for anything mischievous, right? But
absolutely, yeah.
And I got to give the communities respect for that, even online. Like I see lots of pictures, and I'm like, wow, that tank is done really, really nice, even with the extra. Like, holy smokes, that's another level. You know what I mean? So yeah, like props to that guy for going into that kind of detail, and if there is that meaning behind it, good for him too, right? We have a couple guys like that too. So it's I know where it's coming from,
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. But speaking of like events and whatnot,
First off, Ed, how's your hobby going? I saw your pictures of your massage.
Yeah.
And,
I think
how's
I'm
that
on
coming
number.
along?
I think I'm on like number 20 right now. I'm actually looking at them right now. So, the last few days I've been working on them, getting just kind of the foliage and stuff on the bocage. So it's not super exciting, but it's definitely work that needs to be done, and in preparation for my local event here as well, our Tank War event, which seems to be a really hot event. This is the second time I've done it. I'm doing it, I should say, and it's instantly sold out. Like, people are just instantly
That's
there.
awesome.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's going quite well. I might actually be running out of the foliage that I buy from the UK there. So just kind of, I'm like, I don't know if I'll be able to get some in time to finish off, but making it happen, letting it spread out and do as much as I can. So we do have a big hobby wholesale place here that I can always run down to and get some other stuff. But yeah, there's that. That's kind of like the main project. I have the whole kind of idea behind the Tank War event is there. It's going to be two tables worth, and they're kind of on the outskirts of a village town with a road going into the bocage area with a couple pieces of land and a couple of buildings here and there that are, farms and this and that, right? And it's just going to be littered with bocage and trees and whatnot. And there's going to be enough buildings placed. And pretty much the whole thing is there is a double agent hiding in the area. And nobody knows which building that he's going to be in until the very end of the game. So I've put a twist where usually in Tank War you don't necessarily have to take infantry. But I've changed the prereq, and I've added where you need to take a minimum of 2 infantry units. So, right. So it's these infantry units are the only units that can actually go and claim these objectives. So, 6 players aside, they'll have lots of infantry on the board to start maneuvering, but there'll still be a lot of tanks and whatnot on the board to play the game and whatnot. And I've ended up giving the players, I think it was 300 experience points that they can allocate to their tanks. 50 point increments, because the whole thing with like the Tank War event is usually you play Tank Wars and you build this experience, and then in later games you get to use this experience, right? Well, on a one-day event, it's like, well, you're not going to rack up any experience because it's at the end of the game. So, hey, let's give out all this experience so people can actually use the abilities and actually play the Tank War with the rules, right? So
most of the rules in Tank War are supported by that experience. Those experience skills that you get for your tank crew. Yeah.
Exactly. So, so long story short, there are objectives, and each side has to hold until the end of the game, and then at the end of it, we'll see where this double agent is actually hidden, kind of thing, right? So, and then I have some little special things that will happen in game too, where an artillery strike might come down randomly. So yeah, that kind of thing. But it's again another full-fledged day of just come out, roll some dice, have some fun. Win or lose, doesn't matter. I do have stuff for each of the players that are coming out, and then there'll also be some prizes as well. So So yeah, so
Well,
that's
speaking about tanks and prizes,
yep.
I actually just today got a little care package from Rubicon Models, who have been absolutely delightful
Nice.
about sending prize support, and it's literally a box full of tanks.
Really?
I
Huh.
Oh yeah. So as part of their prize support package right now, it's surprisingly themed. I think Jim down there keeps his light finger on his emails when people ask for prize support. But he was nice, and he sent us a Panther off G, a Stug 3, a Valentine, and an M10 for me to hand out at our event. So
Sweet.
you might have to run another Tank War event.
No kidding, eh? You could even have tank
With
teams where, Team Calgary, Team Edmonton get together and go at it. That'd be awesome.
That would be much better than the Axis and Allies event. Just throw our bitter rivalry into more of a tabletop simulator. Yeah, let's do that.
That's the beauty thing of it is, down the road, I'm sure we can do some collaboration and do some events together and this and that, and try to grow the community as well. Because I do know there's some guys in Red Deer as well that play, and I ran into them actually this year. But they've always kind of mentioned coming out to events and whatnot. So places that are closer would be better, and taking the weekend or the drive down. It's not a big thing. It's always nice to get away and take a little road trip and play some games.
Exactly.
So
It's only 3 hours. It's not bad.
yeah, like it's
Yeah, we have a few people who are out in Lethbridge and Medicine Hat too. So more
nice.
south than where we are in Calgary. So there's a few people who are out and about who
Nice.
want to try and come up.
Yeah, I would like to eventually, maybe in the future, I would really like to see if we can get things kind of going like Western Canada eventually, right? Like, I'm not sure if there's any events that happen in BC or anything like that. I know they have some tournaments and whatnot that happen down there. I've talked to a local player. They had like a Lord of the Rings tournament down there. And I think they had like 50 plus people, which kind of blew my mind. And I was like, really? Because you don't see the game, right? So
Yeah, that's shocking.
But I don't know. I'll have to do some more investigation, like what other events are out there and what other groups are playing. But it'd be interesting to see what could get drummed up, and who knows, in the future there might be things like that happen. Because I know Ontario probably has lots of events like that, I'm assuming. So
Yeah.
they're a lot closer and busier down there and whatnot. So it's good. It's good.
I think it's a great idea. Western Canada gaming event.
Yeah.
Something
Exactly.
big. It'd be nice. It'd be a nice stream.
Yeah, keep the hype rolling for that kind of stuff. But yeah, enough of my event. Like, gotta talk about your event.
Oh yeah, that thing. So the event. I noticed in your last cast, you called it a tournament, and you're kind of right. It's almost right. It's actually just a bolt action event. That we're hosting down here on December 3rd at the Sentry Box. But it is a 3-game themed semi-narrative event. And in the bolt action community, there's kind of there is a difference, like most, between kind of more narrative focused games and tournament, so competitive games, like most gaming communities.
Yeah.
This one is strictly just a fun themed event, kind of promote the community, promote the game itself, and the people who play it, getting people together so that people can know other people's faces other than seeing just names on Facebook and stuff. So the whole event is going to be over the one day, 3 games, and it's going to be based around the Mediterranean campaign and the Western Desert. So what I've done is made it Axis versus Allies.
Right.
It just right. It just seemed more of a better way to get people together. So people who like to play Axis powers will be on one side, people who like to play Allied powers will be on the other, and they can come together and know who they're playing, and being able to meet potentially other people in the area. Because, like I said earlier, most people like to play Canadians, British. You have a large group where you constantly fight against each other. So you might face the same armies quite often. So
Right.
this just gives a way to be able to change that up for people. And yeah, it's literally just an event. I have 3 missions picked out of very special missions that are very thematic and very objective orientated. So you and Bill will have something to look at when you guys come down.
Nice.
I've always found that objective-based missions are much more interesting on the tabletop, especially for bolt action, because bolt action is a infantry game. You don't just want to have your infantry shooting every turn. You want to be able to move forward, get up, and get things done. So I've opted for two very interesting objective missions, and then just a final little beat the snot out of each other mission for the final one. So looking pretty good. Looking pretty good at that.
Nice. That sounds pretty good. That'll be a lot of fun for sure.
Oh yeah, 1,000 points. So a lot of wiggle room for people to be able to build and customize their armies, but low enough that newer players can kind of get in, and still won't be overwhelmed by a lot of the rules, because you'll be able to handle your army a little better.
Okay.
Generic reinforced platoons, just 'cause it's simple, it's easy, great things all across the board, and yeah, you just not out of each other.
No, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's always like you said, it was objective wise, especially in this game. Really, that I think is the way to do it. I found a lot of times, even in our drop-in nights, when it's just a kill point kind of game, you're kind of like, well, kind of rather have a little bit of a story behind the game, or a little bit of more depth into the game. Why is this the objective? Like, what's going on here? And guys will kind of banter back and forth about kind of what's going on, and hoot and holler and have a good time with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and the other thing too is, and I like this myself in almost any game that I play, is when those objectives are actually forcing your army to actually move, right? The whole, the whole turtle situation, I'm not a fan of. Mind you, it happens. But for me, I've always been kind of an army that's always moving, right? It's always trying to get into position. It's always trying to get that much closer to my objective, or to take out a unit, or whatever, right? So it's good to hear. I like that. I know I'll, that's one of the things too with even my event, same kind of idea, right? Objective base. Have something for it. So I'm excited to see, the tables. I'm excited to see the armies that come out and to meet all the other guys out there as well. And just, putting, the name to the face kind of thing, face to the name, however you say that. But it'll be good. It'll be good to see the other players down there as well, and just have a good time. And who knows, maybe go out for some eats afterwards or something like that, right? So
yeah,
that'll be good.
I am super excited to have you and your crew come down, actually, because you were talking about on your last cast how basically half of the players registered so far are from Edmonton. So it is nice to see that the event will take place, and there will be a nice community from the entire province coming out for it. So
That's
the
good.
fact you wrangled up some people to come down has been good, very good. I'm excited to meet everyone. Actually,
That's awesome to hear. You want to know what's fun? The funny part is, this all kind of snowballed because like Bill talked to me and, hey, let's go down to the event. Let's go support it and let's go check it out and meet them down there. Right? Okay, cool. And then all of a sudden, two of the other guys from our group joined in, and another one joined in, and then another one joined in, but nobody talked to each other. So, so I'm not going to take credit for that, but it was good to see. It was a good feeling to see guys be like, "Hey, yeah, let's go out. Let's go have some fun. Let's go play some games." Right? Which I thought was super awesome to see. And then I had guys kind of reach out to me and, hey, let's carpool. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's go. Okay, cool. Like we got a little bit of a, support and crew coming down kind of thing to just have fun, which is great. That's the way communities come together. So, but
one of the stepping stones to building a good community. Yeah,
100%. So, and that's December 3rd, I believe, right?
Yeah, December 3rd at the Sentry box. 9:30 registration, 10 o'clock are dice down.
Okay.
As we get started. Yeah, and it's going to be awesome. You get to play in Canada's largest gaming store.
Nice.
Arguably North America's largest gaming store. And get to meet just a whole bunch of people. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day.
That's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. And then, and what do you, so going a little, in the future here, a little fast forwarding, do you have plans for next year? Do you have things that you want to do and come up with, or, for the community? Do you have, do you guys do demo days, stuff like that? Like, what do you guys do down there? Or what do you have planned, maybe?
I got plans. I got lots of plans. I've got lots of plans. Yeah, I've been talking with the Sentry box about putting together a demo day sometime in the near future, just to be able to obviously spread word about the game. People see the boxes in the store all the time, but they might not know about the game entirely. But doing a demo day is a good idea and something that I've had on the burner. I'll find time, obviously, but I got so many other ideas. I have an idea of going through and doing events that are specific to the theaters.
Right.
Of the Second World War. So doing a Burma kind of themed event around some of the major conflicts there. Maybe doing an island hop out in the Pacific for the theater out there. Doing a winter war, a continuation war, kind of snow winter themed theater idea, Battle of the Bulge type thing.
Yep.
Which would ironically be a good time to do it in winter. But I think I might have to do it in summer just for ironing. Sorry. But yeah, doing more themed events. We're not so much a super competitive group down here.
Right.
We try to keep things pretty casual, and I think these themed events are a good way of doing that, where everyone knows that there is no pressure. There's no so for a gentleman's war for the event coming up on the 3rd, which also is the name I kind of want to go with for some of these themes, because it's kind of fitting. It's literally just a gentleman's war, Pacific theater, gentleman war in Burma, kind of. But what I want to, because people aren't very competitive, these themed events help, and I think that is what will bring more people out to the event. But every so often, I do want to do just a straight up competitive event. I know there's a lot of net listers out there, and there's a lot of other podcasts that cover the competitive side of bolt action. But I think that just a once in a while event where everyone who's comfortable with the game can come out and basically just let all their dirt fly on the tabletop is a good idea to just kind of get rid of all those urges and then start the palette over again.
So we're on the same page, for sure.
Yeah.
100% on the same page. And I know for a fact that in the community here, there are a couple players that have, strong armies, strong lists kind of thing. There's a couple guys going to LVO in January there. So they're kind of running some armies. One thing I've noticed is, no matter how really competitive people might say their army is and stuff, bolt action's kind of a different beast. Really, how competitive can your army get? In a sense, right? There are some things that you can, take advantage of course, for sure. A lot of armies, they'll have specific units that are just so effective or so point effective kind of thing with the weapons that they have. But for the most part, the guys here, they're pretty laid back. They're not super competitive with their games, and of course, we always preach here at Trident too, talk with your opponent, what your what your whole kind of motive is with your games, right? It's nice. And it's nice because, even right now, when guys are listening to this episode, you're talking about your event and explain, this is what kind of event it is. That sets the tone, right? That sets the thought process of when people are playing these games or making these armies or whatever the case may be, which is great, and which is great, and which is definitely needed, because I know. One of the first events that was run here, I had two of the players. They actually had set up the terrain and everything. Unfortunately, I was kind of in a different event, but I was kind of hosting that event, and they made a story out of it, and everybody had such a great time. It was, like you said, a narrative event, and emphasis on the event and not tournament kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where bolt action thrives, 100%, right? Is that thematic, story-driven kind of event that's happening, be it you're storming the beaches or You're fighting across the cold plains, in the east kind of thing. Stalingrad, whatever the case may be. But bolt action, it really, really thrives on that thematic event. So
Absolutely.
it's good to hear that same thing with your crew down there has that same mentality, and it's super enjoyable. For me, it's super enjoyable to go there and things are set up, and like it amazes me the tables that the core players tend to set up, because you can tell a guy who plays 40k and you can tell a guy who plays bolt action just by the way they set up their tables. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. We have in our little historical group here, we have a guy who is he tend to lean to more of the historical side of most things, which is fine. But he is a phenomenal terrain maker. He's created an entire winter table based off of the Napoleonic French's long march out of the long retreat out of Russia, and the level of craftsmanship that he has put into just the snow on the buildings and getting the waves done. Like, it has been super impressive, and every time I look at his pictures that he posts on our local page, like, just blows my mind. And then of course I see some of the 40k tables, like you said, and they're there, they're detailed, the product is detailed and everything is there, but it is very organized in such a way that you can tell it is just a table compared to a scene, that scene that gets built around that. So yeah, my idea is to make the table a scene, and that is what I've been going for. So much so that I still have a bunch of terrain that I'm staring at right now at the finish.
I hear you. I got lots of that too. Lots of MDF buildings from Cerisa Precision and whatnot to build as well. So, that's awesome. It's good to hear. I know myself trying to start a campaign in the new year as well. And then, of course, there'll be another larger event through Trident down the road. So hopefully we'll get a whole bunch of people participating in that and having a good time as well. But yeah, it's really comes down to like putting that time and effort and dedication into having the ideas of what theater you want to work with, or if you're making a whole bunch of tables, you're literally making that theme of the table, and then that's what you got to roll with, and you got to make it right. You just can't go out and get a plastic kit and a whole bunch of plastic kits and all of a sudden you got a table. Well, there's a lot of man-made terrain pretty much that the hobbyists have to jump into. I mean, I'm making Bacage. Like, I can't just go out and really buy all this stuff. I gotta spend hours doing this kind of thing, but in the end, it's going to look really great, right? It's going to look really good. And
that's the key. It's kind of like the picturesque finish afterwards, when you see all your models on the table, and then you see detailed terrain that brings out that imagery. It inspires most people's imagination and their interest into what's going on. A great table can attract more players than a well-painted army, I can tell you that.
Yeah, 100%. I know the event that we had, like I had those two other gentlemen run. There was guys playing, I think it was 9th Age on the other side, and there was probably a good 40 of them. But guys are coming across like, I want to play on those tables. Like it looks like a story, like it looks like a movie. And I'm like, that's right. like these guys, they put in a lot of time and effort, and they made it happen, and they made it look great. So all the power to the players and the hobbyists, and the amount of skill and ideas that people have, And of course, there's the nice thing nowadays is there's a lot of content online that can get you started and help you with the ideas of building this custom terrain too. So,
oh yeah,
tons of it. So it's great. That's great. But no, it's good to hear that pretty much sounds like our communities are pretty par with each other, and I think they're going to mesh quite well. So super excited for December 3rd there for your event. It'll be good times to be had for sure. It'll be finally nice to meet yourself in person as well. So
yeah, and we'll be able to shake hands.
Yeah, exactly. So, but thanks for joining me on this episode. It was a lot of fun. It's good to hear about other local communities all the time. So, I'm sure we'll keep in touch and chat, of course, all the time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, again, thank you for joining us. And,
I was happy to be here. I do just want to say one thing too.
Yeah.
To your other bolt action partner, Jason there. On the last cast, he said he doesn't know if he's going to be able to make it. So I took that as a personal challenge, and I've decided to say, hey Jason, if you want some free stuff like the Warlord supported models and prize support that we're going to get for this, you got to come down, buddy. You got to come down, and I'll literally hand you a box of something. As soon as you get there, if you just literally free models into the game. It can't be more tantalizing than that, buddy. So,
I think
Jason,
he signed up actually, which is pretty funny.
I'll have to double check that. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You got to tempt them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. That's good. Yeah, you'll. Jason does come down. You'll have a blast with him too. He's a great guy to play with. So he'll make a lot of sound effects with his vehicles, which is great. You have a good time with that.
How could you not? When you're driving your tank across a table, how could you not do the
Exactly.
That's what we do.
That's exactly it. That's awesome. But yeah. No, I think that's about it for this episode. But again, thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed it as well as much as I have. And
thank you guys for having me on.
No problem. I'm sure we'll have you on more down the road when things get busy again in the new year and whatnot, and maybe even a recap of the event. So, and to everybody out there, checking us out and, on YouTube, Podbean, wherever you're checking us out on. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for all your awesome comments. Been having a lot of feedback on the Facebook posts and whatnot. So, I'm glad to see you guys are enjoying these episodes as well. I'm sure we'll be throwing a lot more, tactic kind of episodes and, checking out different books and different units. So, that'll come down the road. But otherwise, keep chucking those dice, keep painting, keep playing, do your thing, and we will catch you guys next time. Trident Wargaming. Build it, paint it, play it.